to to get a team and see if we can work that out something.
Love it.
Yep.
That's all. Well, in the meantime, while we wait for what's your questions?
Uh, so I just been connecting for with different people in the midterm rental space, and I know some banks they don't allow to do refinance or like cash out refi when you have a short-term rental or midterm rental house. Because they say like, oh, you know what, so you can rent this out for like certain amount of time, and let's say for the 30 days, so you can rent it out for 2 weeks, 1 week. The next month is gonna be like full book for 30 days, so it's not like consistent income. So for the I know couple of times you said like that you can do the DSCR with the short-term rental or the midterm rental. So how do you apply for just to do the, I mean, I don't know if you can, if again, I don't know if I'm put the the right words, if you can do the cash out refi and apply at the same time for the DSCR loan.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So you can do a DSCR cash out refinance. Depends on your DSCR lender. But with us, we have lenders that will accommodate short-term and midterm rentals. Usually they'll look at them as vacant because you don't have uh, you know, guests with leases. Now midterm, it depends on the lender. Sometimes they'll count it as a lease, and it's occupied. But it's really just up. Question for Dustin: have you refinanced a co-living property yet, or have gotten a loan with it?
We have a co-living in Orlando that we bought. We bought sub two. We had to bring in like $250,000 though to rehab it. Like it was a massive rehab. It was a foreclosure. Like it was and ultimately though we did refinance it into a DSCR because I know the
Hello, hey
property.
guys, can you hear me?
Yeah, we have Dustin.
Okay. Hey Dustin, how you doing?
Yeah, good, good. Thanks for having me.
Of
So
course. Give me
yeah,
one
Dustin,
second, okay?
you're good, Chai. Go ahead.
So this was a year ago. The property went live in April. It was stabilized, and then we refied. I think it was August. Now,
Okay.
one of my partners spearheaded that part, so I don't know all the details, but I know we definitely got it done.
Okay. Yeah, that's interesting. I think that's it's I've seen a lot of DSCR lenders that'll put co-living in different categories than like rentals, just because they don't like the rent by the room model sometimes. But I have other lenders that say, hey, it's totally fine as long as all the rooms are permitted. Um, you know, we're fine with multiple leases.
Yeah, I know all their underwriting, they still just factored the LTR rates,
Yep.
so all of it. But yeah,
Yeah. So that's what I would say if you're trying to run the numbers and seeing like, okay, what would a short-term and midterm rental kind of probably get, or how are they going to run the numbers and run the comps? They're usually going to run the comps on long-term rental comps. So just make sure of that. So if you're getting $5,000 on short-term rental income, but the long-term rental rents are about 2,500, you can bank that they're going to use that 2,500. And they're most likely going to see things as vacant, which is usually fine. It just means that they'll bring down the LTV sometimes. So for one of our lenders, they'll do 80% LTV, but if it's a short-term rental, they'll bring it down to 75. So those are like just the main factors to keep in mind.
Sorry, Jada has become the DSCR badass now. Like she talks numbers that I don't even understand anymore. 75, 80, all these things. That's awesome.
Who does she recommend for like DS?
Yes, Shango?
Who does J? Hi guys. who like Jada, this is for you. I see a lot of mortgage method deals coming across, and I'm not really interested in that right now. But what DSCR lenders have you seen most success with and most I guess easeability. I don't want to say easeability, but they're easily to work with. Like, is there anyone in particular that you work with that you prefer, or that you've had the most, I guess, ease. I keep saying easeability. Just you're able to work with them the best. Is it any DSCR lenders you prefer?
I'm still getting what's an idea, an idea of how each DSCR lender works. I know I like what Liz Lopez, she has a lot of lenders that she'll kind of talk about. I know she talks about UWM a lot. UWM isn't consumer based though. So if you're trying to go directly to them to get a loan, they won't do that. They'll only work with loan brokers. But yeah, I don't have any that I would want to recommend or talk about right now, just because I haven't fully worked with all of them. And I want to do multiple deals before I'm like, hey, but keep in touch with me and ask me more questions throughout the coming days and weeks, because I would love to talk about them. So thank you for the question.
Got it. Thank you.
And we have enough people. I would love for you guys to learn about and know who Dustin Geroski is. So I hope I'm saying your last name right.
You did. You're one of the few.
Go. So Dustin is in sub 2. He's friggin' awesome. I met him out in Florida last year for the Clever Summit. We're having a meetup and he was one of the speakers. And so Dustin and at least one other partner, right? You guys do co-living together. You have several properties. You're even teaching the co-living semesters in sub 2. And like anything else, I'll say won't do you justice. So please, the floor is yours.
Yeah, no, thanks for having me. Well, it's exciting too, because I know Tracy Coe and I are looking at buying a couple co-living through you, like some turnkey ones. So this is perfect timing.
Hey, and we have Tracy here.
Tracy, your
Oh,
name
yes.
came up in PML Mastermind. Rez was telling me that you need to connect with Tracy for bookkeeping thing, that she is looking for a bookkeeper. So my brother and I, we own a bookkeeping company, well, accounting company, but we do not mostly, our focus is real estate bookkeeping, and I'll probably do one Zoom dedicated to bookkeeping one of these Saturdays. So we can show, or rather show off how cool we are in general compared to other bookkeepers, because we are actually in business and then we employ almost every strategy in the book. And fun fact, Dustin, that somehow Jada brings people exactly based on what I'm looking for without talking to me. So I'm trying to learn co-living myself. We just went live on our first co-living property, and here you are just dropping nuggets today. I mean, about co-living. So I'm looking forward to it big time.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. And I mean, if she's up to it, Tracy is a wealth of knowledge to contribute as well.
I would love, yeah, both of you guys would be amazing.
So are you and Tracy partners on everything, is it, or just few things?
I mean, we both have several things going on, but there's a lot of overlap. Like we're teaching co-living together, we're buying together, we're doing a flip together. So the majority, it seems, at
Awesome.
this point.
Oh, and I got to meet Erin Ford in person at PML. I got to meet Yana Goodnight. These are, I mean, the regular people on our calls. Caitlin's attending our call. Caitlin Ruth Vincent. She's the new attendee. I met her at PML, and she is buying businesses. So she's at here. Caitlin, I don't know if you can hear me, but welcome to the call. Thank you for joining. I hope you like this format. We are gonna jump into without taking too much time. We are gonna jump into
Hi
what Dustin
guys.
has to say.
Hang on one second. Ah, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Hi everybody. I'm sorry we had kids soccer games today, so I've had to
No, you're
be on the
fine.
sidelines and then listen in. So,
No, thank you for joining. It's a pleasure to have you. We'll chat
but
more.
it's lovely to meet everybody. So thanks for having
We'll
me.
discuss you and what you do later, and maybe I have a few other things around the same topic about business buying. We'll
Cool.
discuss that with the group after we go over with after we finish the podcast.
Okay, that sounds good. I look forward to it. Speak
All right,
soon.
go ahead, Jada. Sorry, don't mean to take up too much time. Let's jump into this.
Go ahead. Dustin, Tracy, now you're a part of this. You don't have to be, but I just feel like, just jump in if you ever have any tidbits and great insights. But guys, these are the
Thank
people for co-living.
Awesome. Okay, so
Yeah.
Dustin, we usually do more of a Q&A type format, but before we get into any questions, I would like to, give you the open mic to, talk about who you are, how you came about, like real estate, what you do in real estate, and just how it all came down to co-living.
Yeah. So, in short, my background is a lot of finance. And then about 2.5 years ago, I had a mentor basically just brought me into the real estate world. Jada, that's who you met, the LD. And anyway, I was talking to him just one day and I was like, yeah, do you want to do this? And he's like, no, I'm going to Everest that day. And I was like, he's like, no, I'm serious. I'm going to Everest. And
Nice.
he's young. Back then he's like 37. I was like, so anyway, we just started getting to know each other. And when he comes back, or no, before he goes, he invites me to cold plunge with him. So it just snowballs, and I'm like, all right, what do you do? He's like, oh, I'm retired. I bought a ton of real estate and I just live off the cash flow.
At
So
37,
that's, yeah.
oh my
So
gosh.
at a very young age, he got into assisted living. Got essentially he got the government contracts like Medicare, stuff like that, and then did big assisted living in Utah. And then he sold out. And so he retired at like 31. So that's the guy that got me into it because I met him. I was like, "What do you do?" And yeah, so that was the start.
So did he do co-living or was that a venture that you guys went into kind of together?
So he's still retired. Like we still do stuff together, but we're at much different speeds. So
Right.
like I'll probably buy one house a year with him. Like he just had baby number 8, so he's very busy.
Oh my God.
Yeah, um so that's where like other things like Tracy and I are doing. Like we have much more ambitious goals. Like he has good goals, of course, but we're just different timelines, goals, you know, 5-year goals, stuff like that. So I
So
bought,
where are you based out of, Dustin?
I'm just below Daytona. So it's New Smyrna Beach. It's east of Orlando.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. And Tracy is around the same area or she is different?
She's on the other coast, Oregon.
Yeah, I'm on the
Oh,
West
okay.
Coast.
Yes. Rez was telling me you're from Oregon.
Yeah,
This
Oregon.
is the best part. I mean, when I hang out in all these communities, I meet people and they are I have met people that have partnered up with someone in Egypt and someone in Canada. And it's so amazing that people are using technology to their advantage and building these amazing partnerships based on the same interest. So great story. If you don't mind, I would like to dig a little bit deeper into your finance background, and I want to tie it to your current strategy, if you don't mind. So tell me a little bit about what you did in finance exactly.
Yeah. So my undergraduate was supply chain. My master's is finance.
Oh, wow.
Before that, I was doing, before real estate, I was managing some portfolios, but it was more like stock market related. So like an analyst
Nice.
slash strategist. But I didn't like how it's only active income, really. And
Mhm.
I didn't feel like it was the most effective or efficient use of my efforts. That's what really drew me to real estate was, I mean, you buy near a solid city in a good area, doubles, for 12 years or so. So I really like that aspect.
Pretty cool. So the reason I mention finance is I want, and again, not everybody is fortunate enough to have these like cool background. I come from supply chain myself, even though my background is engineering. I spent a good amount of my career in supply chain. When I quit my W-2, I was a supply chain manager for one of the oil and gas service companies called Schlumberger. So I can relate to that part, but the finance part, the reason I stress on finance is whatever we do in these calls, underwriting, it has a lot of finance aspect to it. I mean, it all comes down to numbers, really. So underwriting is all about numbers. And I think one of the reasons you might have picked, and correct me if I'm wrong, a co-living strategy is probably because you ran the numbers and numbers speak for themselves. And not only the numbers, when and now I would like to connect those numbers to actual underwriting. And when we say numbers and underwriting, I mean, people use these words pretty casually, but the real difference is numbers tell you what your bottom line is, and
Yeah.
underwriting tells you if that what at what cost you get that bottom line.
Yeah.
So you are good at numbers, but you are probably also good at underwriting, which tells you that co-living, for the amount of effort you put into that strategy versus the numbers you get, it makes sense for you guys. Am I
Yeah.
right in saying
Yeah.
that?
Yeah. Like one example that comes to mind is, and this is a lot of data collecting to create this average, but the typical co-living property it'll have a net cash flow, like a true net of 1,500 per month.
Per
So like
property.
that's in mhm. So like that's interviewing Pace's asset managers, several different people inside of the community, our own properties. Like 1,500 is the benchmark.
Okay, when you say 1,500, what kind of property are we talking?
Uh, Typically, you're converting single family.
Okay.
Tracy and I, we are in process of buying a new build for
Okay.
co-living. Um, but yeah, single family. Some people do duplexes, triplexes, and stuff where those numbers will be different. But
Okay.
typically, like a 7.2, an 8.3. Like if
7
you
bedrooms,
want,
2 bathrooms.
yeah.
Okay.
Then that's after converting. Yeah.
Okay. So let's walk everybody through a specific property you may have acquired or
Well,
sanitized
I
recently.
got
Like,
I have a full blown PowerPoint of one if you want to see it.
oh, would love that.
Um,
That's
we got
awesome.
an ebook, like whatever you
Okay.
want to dive into, we'll go
Whatever you
all
want to
out.
show, man, it's yours. It's all yours.
Love that.
All right. Tracy, what do you think? The PowerPoint or the ebook? Maybe the power?
I think what's nice about the PowerPoint, yeah, I can plop the ebook link to that in the chat if people are really interested in learning about the steps by step of co-living. But what I like about the PowerPoint is you can really break down.
Some
Chad, I really like
numbers.
how you talked about the difference between, the underwriting and comping a property, right? And people tend to get those two things confused.
Yep.
You have to understand both very clearly and individually in order, in my opinion, to know how to evaluate a property and see what the true cash flow looks like. So Dustin does a great job of breaking that down, and I think using the slide deck would be helpful for that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if you have a screen
Take it
share.
away.
Yeah, go ahead.
All right. So the first parts are going to be a little bit more macro, like why we picked the location based on like the area and stuff.
Yes.
But we'll go quick through it and then get some more underwriting. All right, there we go. Okay. So anyway, I'll skip this part, but basically, money is not backed by gold, massive inflation, middle class is shrinking, demand for rent by the room is increasing dramatically. So
100%.
that's what these first two slides are all about. The breakdown that I have here, a property, it's about 15 minutes from me. It's going to go live in about 2 weeks. just below Daytona, this one's 1,600. Annual cash on cash, 20%. And in a couple slides, we'll go into that more. But this was a 3, 2.5. We bought it sub 2. It's a wholesaler inside sub 2. As a failed Airbnb. And so they're
Love
about
that.
6 months in arrears. They were out of the
Stick to the
country.
Airbnb. I love that.
Yeah, I think it could have worked, but it's just, I don't know. So we bought it.
Quick question, if I could pause real quick. I
Yeah.
feel like a lot of people hear cash on cash return a lot, and even Chai will go over it at times, but how would you explain what cash on cash return is, and why is it important enough to put it in a slide?
Yeah, so in the short version, and we do it conservatively, this is factoring in, setting aside money for reserves and stuff, but the 20% is your annual return, like coming back to you on the money that you put in.
Mhm.
And so there,
You
towards the end, I have
leave in the deal, basically,
Say that one
for
more
a,
time.
yeah,
for a good amount of
yeah.
time.
Like, for example, I don't remember what this one has exactly, but if you put 100K in, you're going to get 20K back out, essentially. So here's our macro, Daytona Beach. Everyone's at least heard of it. So it's a popular metro. When you start buying in like little towns no one's heard of, kind of a red flag right off the bat, but we'll go into that more detail. Um, so a lot of activity going around. It's really close to Daytona Airport, the Daytona Speedway. There's 2 major colleges within 15 minutes, and then a major hospital. This is a little more underwriting focused that we're starting to get into, but ad split is at the moment like the leading one of, it's pretty much the leader in the co-living world for supplying your tenants. And then technically they're not tenants, they're members, but that's a whole nother conversation. But they provide this is like AirDNA, the equivalent of AirDNA, but for pad split. And what's great though, it's their own data. It's not speculative. Um, it's not third party. It's like, hey, this is what's happening. And so,
Uh, quick question on this one. The weekly room prices, where did you get those?
so this is straight from Pad Split's website.
Oh, okay. Perfect. Okay. Sorry,
Yeah,
if
you
you
can.
said that earlier, I missed it then.
No, it's okay. It's essentially you can create a free account through Pad Split, and they're going to give you access to a
So
lot of
I'm also
market.
getting pad splits data. I mean, I'm also using pad splits data, and they have, I mean, a lot of data. People who like data here, you just knock yourself out. Like call one of the pad split guys and ask them to send you a data. I mean, send you
Yeah,
a data tape, and then you
Yeah.
can go ahead. Sorry.
yeah, they have a ton.
Chai, I
And
just put in the link, guys. If you are even slightly interested in co-living, go become a host with PadSplit. It's free. You don't have to actually even ever use them. You'll click the link, you'll throw some information, someone's going to call you from PadSplit, and you just say, I'm interested in learning about co-living. They're not going to harass you very much, but in return, you have access to all of their data for free. And it's outrageous how much we pay all this money for access to AirDNA data. They've got, in my opinion, much more accurate data, and it's all free and tons of resources. So I highly recommend you guys utilize them. Anyway,
yeah,
yeah,
absolutely.
they got good data.
On this slide, I point out typically, like if you're in the middle of Orlando or Tampa, there's a lot more active units. We felt confident in this area. A, because I live 15 minutes from it, I know it very well. But B, back to the previous slide, there's a lot of activity. It's a very transient market. And so that's the big emphasis here. So depending on what else you want to see, I have a lot in here, but this is more
Hey,
details
Dustin.
about yeah.
Oh, sorry. Oh, sorry. I thought
Um,
it was there for a second, or my internet was gone.
oh, okay.
Yeah, you're
Never
good, Dustin.
mind.
But yeah, this is this property, it's a two-story, 4.3 sub two deal, no HOA. That's one of the big criteria. Just don't even think about HOA, just don't even entertain it. It's a hard no. Um, so three, 2.5, 1,700 square foot. And then the next big thing is it's within quarter mile of at least one bus stop. Like the max you want to do is like a half mile or a mile tops. One of the data points that Pat Switt told us 2 weeks ago is 48% of their tenants don't have a registered vehicle. Like, and because whenever they move in, they're collecting that data. So a lot of them they don't have vehicles. So the normal demographic in a pad split is someone in their 30s. Um, some are maybe in graduate school. Some maybe work full time at Costco. Like there is a wide range. But ultimately, instead of like in Miami, for example, or not buy, but you rent a studio or a one bed, one bath. You're paying probably $2,500 a month. But through pad split, the alternative is $1,000 a month. So it's really people that are just looking to be effective and efficient with their living and their finances. So this next slide, it just shows some examples how we added rooms. The main takeaways are the living room. You don't have a living room. It actually just causes more problems than benefits, typically. Some people still like it. So rooms 3 and 4 here, instead of a living room, we now have 2 new rooms. Then on the bottom left here, this is the
And
garage.
sorry to interrupt, but are these all rented, all these rooms for by now?
So this is the one that's about to go live.
Okay,
We're
but you have
ordering.
done this somewhere before?
Yeah,
Same
yeah,
setup. Okay.
yeah. So this one we're ordering furniture now, like they're putting it together. So it's gonna go live like before Squad Up. So
Nice.
we could always look at it,
From Amazon.
in the future. Yeah. Yeah, the pad split reps, they provide like recommended furniture, stuff like that. All right, so got rid of the living room, no more garage, converted the garage into 2 rooms. We are pulling permits, like just
Nice.
yeah, not worth the city or anyone, just it's not worth it. And then the other interesting thing, the top, so 7 and 8 here, we've done this a few times. The master bedroom was here. So instead of just walking straight into the master, this sounds really weird, but it's actually really common in co-living. We created a new wall here, and then it's a hallway that goes to the bath. And so
Yeah.
now the master bath is no longer private. It's shared.
Nice.
And then this was a big closet, knocked this down. So now instead of having a big master bedroom, we have 2 smaller bedrooms that share a bathroom.
And
What?
just to remind everyone here, this is a 1,700 square feet house, just so y'all
Mhm.
know. Okay,
Yeah.
1,700. Like what is possible with 1,700? I mean, it's an eye opener for me as well. This is amazing. Keep going. Sorry.
Yeah. And just as a side note background, the partner that I bought a lot of properties with and done these weird things um, outside of Tracy, before I met Tracy, was my broker. So he had already had co-living as well. So he really paved, the path and figured out things. And then I got to essentially I hunt the deal down and I get equity. So that's where I learned a lot of this from. So this next slide, right here, the living room. what used to be the living room. And so you can see, like, just we're throwing up walls right where the couch used to be. So you can see up here, like moving the vents, stuff like that.
So one quick question here. What is the square footage, like minimum square footage of each room recommended?
So the bare minimum that Pat's Foot will even let you do is 80 square foot. But like Tracy and I were looking at a few now. Ideally, it's over 100. Like, because
Okay.
then, like we have one in Orlando that's 80 on the dot, and the turnover is very noticeable.
Oh, 80.
Mhm.
So at 80, you will see more turnover. People don't like it, you mean?
Yeah, because
Okay.
ideally you have a bed, of course, nightstand, a desk, a chair,
Yeah.
a mini fridge. But at 80, it starts getting pretty tough to get all that in. All right, so right here, the same area. Got getting rid of the living room on the left. This is the kitchen, like the sink right here, where they normally would oversee into the living room.
I love that you added all the construction. This is great.
Yeah, there's more. I need to add it. In 2 weeks, Beta, if you want, I could show you the deck when it's done, because I'll add the pictures of when it's all furnished as well, like all the numbers, like anything. And then, oh, real quick. So they do recommend, at least for in regards to common area, like a breakfast table. It's not, a large. There's definitely not the living room, but there is a common where they can at least eat. So ideally, they have the desk where they can eat if they want, or have their computer. But it is pretty normal to have like a 4 chair or 6 chair breakfast area. Let's see. All right. So these 3 photos, I'll zoom in a little more. This is that same breakfast area. Um, it's in rehab, so just random stuff in this picture. So here's the garage though. And I took this photo because there's a few things that are interesting about it, but it is a single car garage that we're converting into 2 rooms.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh my
And then
God.
also,
Like optimizing it all the way.
yeah,
This is awesome.
yeah. And this is cinder block. So
Oh,
Wow.
yeah, like we did cut and we pulled the permits and we did cut, create the windows because you do need two forms of egress for it to be a room that you're allowed to
you have to
list.
add like a metal beam at the top.
What's that?
You had to add metal beam on the top, I guess. Looks like
Yeah, I'd have to confirm what it is exactly.
wood beam or
Um,
metal.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
So you
But
add windows to every room that you make, or at least one?
depending, it just needs to be 2 forms of egress. So like a door and a window, or I think I've seen a couple times where people have done 2 doors. But typically door and window combo. And then here, this is that living room, or not, sorry, the master bedroom, where we created the hallway. So like the master bath, and then we're putting up the wall. And so the first person that I remember learning that from was Javier Paredes. He came to one of our properties and we're like, all right, how do we make this work? And he was showing us, like, yeah, you put a hallway inside your master bedroom. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So I think this is the stuff that you'll like more.
Yes.
Ooh. The number.
Okay.
You can blow up the slide if you want.
Uh,
It's right there at the top slideshow.
to the top right. There you go.
All right. So what Tracy shared most likely was a link to a lot of different resources. One of those the ebook, another is a calculator. Now, before we dive into this, the calculator, it needs to be tailored based on different markets. And so some of these percents are just like the base. Like one of them that I'm getting at, for example, 7% reserves on a property that is a year old might be a little high. If it's 20 years old, maybe you want 10% reserves. So the calculator that we provided is the starting point, but we could start up here at the top. So the 200, we pull that data from pad split, and we are working closely with the rep. Like when let's say you're at the early stage, you found a property, you like the location, the bus stops, population density. Now you're starting to get into the smaller details. So this one though, we pulled it from pad split. We verified it with our rep. We love working with Audrey. And so we plug here, 8 number of rooms. On this property, we're not doing any private rooms, other ones we have. It depends if it makes sense or not, but they are at a noticeable premium if you have a private room. But sometimes they're so big, it doesn't justify it and you want to cut it. So that's how we're getting the revenue. The PITI, that's with our new insurance, new property taxes. Every time you buy a sub 2 deal, those are going to fluctuate, or typically.
Yeah.
And then in here, the way we pulled the 12%, some of this is subjective. Some people, like what we do with ours properties is we just factor in housekeeping coming through the whole property twice a month. And we found it just everyone's happier. So we just bake it into our rent. And so this 12%, depending on the owner, the person, might be higher, lower. But we do recommend, being generous. Some properties, like we're looking at one now that has solar, so that would influence. But yeah, that each one will be unique. So vacancies, this is an interesting one. When you're looking at the password data, it's going to show that zip code it has its own vacancy. Like some are like 80. Across the whole US, according to PadSplit, as of 2 weeks ago when we brought them in the sub 2 semesters, they mentioned 90% is across the board their average across the US.
Yeah.
But there are, for people that want to just do the bare minimum and let PadSplit fill it, that's a reasonable number to put in underwriting. The people that are proactive, this is where it does get unique. If you share, like, I don't know what they call it officially, but like your link, your QR code, if you fill the unit though, based on your efforts, that split dramatically reduces the fee that they're going to take from you. And so
After what point you said that happens?
yeah, so typically if PadSplit fills it from like their PPC marketing, stuff like that, they're actually going to take the first 10 days of revenue when they move in.
Correct.
And then 8%. But if you fill it based on being proactive, like on Facebook Marketplace, Zillow, stuff like that, you get to keep that 10 days. So it is
nice. Okay, didn't know that.
Yeah, it makes a big difference for sure. So the last thing, or the last major thing I want to mention on this, so PadSplit fills the property. They help handle a little bit of things on operations, but not really. Just assume they don't. Some people love managing it. I'm not one of those. And as long as you're staying in a major market, like I think they have 19 to 20 core markets now.
Yeah.
They have a lot of resources, one of those being property manager. And they'll they'll manage it. They'll do it all for anywhere from $300 to $600, and it's so worth it. So like ours,
Yeah.
unless there is an expense over $300, like we have nothing to do with it.
Yeah.
So
So
yeah, on this, that's how we get the 1690.
I got quick question in this. I know you have vacancy in there, but what was I going to say? Completely lost track. But is that vacancy for that zip code, that 10% you're using, or you're using something else based on?
Yeah, so the 10% is what we're just seeing across the board. Like as long as you're sticking to certain like standards on furnishing, just even being slightly proactive on, posting Facebook Marketplace, like room for rent, stuff like that. That's what we're seeing across the board.
So one important question I have for Pad Split, and I speak from Houston and in general Texas markets.
Yep.
For some reason I don't know if it's the same everywhere, but I would say we get a ton of bad applications, a ton. And there is like fraud applications, all kinds of, I mean, I've seen all the flavors in my career so far. So one question I asked this Pad Split lady is, how many people stop paying? I mean, vacancy is one thing, but how much is your delinquency rate? Have you, and I don't think they track it very well in their data, but they gave me like random answer, 90% or something across the board, or more almost.
Yeah.
Do you have any comments on that?
Yeah, so there's different settings on your profile. Like, so no matter what, they're going to do a background check. They're going to verify their finances. So that is a significant filter. But then you can go in. I don't remember what they call it as of lately. They've renamed it a couple times, but you can essentially increase how strict you want to be, and it filters out 15 to 20% of the higher risk. So that is a big factor.
No, what do you have to?
Sorry.
No, what did you say you have to increase?
So in the settings of your dashboard, you can change what you're willing to tolerate. So you could basically, they just have it a button, say, I want to be more strict, and it gets rid of the bottom 15 to 20% of higher
Wow.
risk.
Oh
So
my,
that,
okay. They didn't
if
tell me
depending
that.
which, yeah. So that's a big factor itself.
Interesting.
That's what we do. Like we're like, all right, we don't even want to mess. So on that, we are seeing like 90 to 95%. Currently, we have a guy. He's I think like 270 behind. 300 is threshold, and so we're being flexible with it. It's funny. He'll play this game. As soon as it hits 300, red flag in the Plaidfoot platform, and he'll pay $1, and then he's in the yellow zone. So we're playing games with each other right now.
Unbelievable.
Interesting.
You
So-
also, I was going to just chime in super quick. You also have the opportunity to be as involved with Pad Split when it comes to picking your tenants, or not at all. So you can set it up where you're like, I don't even care. Just put people in. I don't care who they are. I don't even want to know who they are, and they'll take care of all that. Or you can say,
Right.
like Dustin, you can set all these parameters. And also you can review all the tenants beforehand and give them a thumbs up or a thumbs down. So you can be as involved or as little involved as you want. Just wanted to share
Yeah.
that. I'll have that understanding.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, the property manager, she'll interview all of them. Like she'll meet them face to face, take them to the property. And so that's a filter as well.
Wow.
All right.
That is awesome. So we got one question. Alex, you want to ask the question? He has a hand raised.
Yes. I mean, I have one property in Texas in Fort Worth, and
Oh yeah,
is
I remember.
right now is a 3 bedroom, 2 bathroom. One of the bedroom has a private bathroom, and we try to do the math, for how many, just to convert the living room and put a wall, put a door that's gonna become a bedroom. But in the moment when we do the math, uh, possibly they never worked. And the question is to how do you get, I know you mentioned that you can get the leads and the people that are gonna be interested to rent it out the room in Facebook Marketplace and things like that. And I mean, how do you know that they're gonna pay you the rent, and how gonna do the background check that that is a, let's say, like, legitimate person that's gonna be living in there. And you know I mean, that's something that I don't understand. I don't know if I know you have like already maybe like system in place for just to get those peoples, and maybe it's gonna be a referral after you get one of them, and the referral they just start like coming into your property.
Yeah, so I mean, essentially, I mean, people do it outside of pad split, and then it's a lot harder. But if you're only taking people that have already been vetted through pad split, they're the ones that are doing that background check. They are checking their financials, um, depending on how often they're paid. Like if they're paid weekly, 2 weeks or whatever, they have to pay you based on their frequency to help the probabilities. Like that way, it's not just they pay once a month. If they're paid every Friday, then you get paid every Friday by them. Um, but to get back to what you're saying, like how do you know you're vetting them appropriately? That is ultimately why
I-
AdSplit is taking that fee.
I'm going to just interject and say I am a firm believer we stay in our lane. I do not, my expertise is not vetting tenants, it's not managing properties. My expertise is attaining assets that I'm confident will bring long-term gains, right? And so that's where I focus 100% of my energy. And so that's why we partner all day long with PadSplit. This is what they do, right? They're actually marketers. That's their jam. So they know how to successfully find us tenants that are going to fit our need. And then they've now learned how to vet them, right? And I don't want anything to do with that because that just takes away from me doing what I'm really good at. So,
Yeah.
Also, I mean, as things start to fail, you can always, I mean, fix your strategy. Like you have to start somewhere. You cannot, I mean, you underwriting numbers, all these things need some sort of assumption to begin with. I mean, you is basically like rupture and repair constantly, like every as you go through this. And I'm not saying that you will uh, I mean, you will stress one part of your strategy because of your desires, and it's going to rupture it. And then you're going to need to add more support on that part of your strategy. And unless pad split fails, you don't have to worry about that, and you can keep growing in another direction, like Tracy said. So I love it what you said, Tracy. I mean, oftentimes I personally forget about that to stay in my own lane.
I do too.
I never,
I definitely do too.
yeah, I never pick a lane.
That was a
Some days I
reminder
get up
for
and I try
myself.
start running in all the lanes at the same time. But yeah, I love it.
So true. It's funny. There's great questions in the side chat too. I think you guys said you'll do some open up for Q&A.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll go over those questions after
Perfect.
Dustin's done with the whole
Yeah,
presentation.
yeah. So I mean, in terms of the presentation, that's the more deal specific. The other stuff is more macro, um,
Okay.
like just more like why.
Well,
the big difference between, co-living and Airbnb, for example. One is a need, the other is just for fun in a sense.
Yeah.
yeah,
But
exactly. And Airbnb space has become very, so I can speak to this group assuming that you're all investors. Okay. You're not someone who has a second home and want to use it for your own purpose. But while it's not being used, you're using it as an Airbnb. It's not the
no,
case. If you're buying a property from an investment standpoint, and if you did that 3 years ago or 4 years ago, when Airbnb was super hot and we killed it, like we had 60 grand revenue on a like piece of shit asset
Right.
in a really bad
Days
area.
have come and gone.
Yeah, but that doesn't happen anymore, and because there is 10 other properties that sprung up in the same area, and people have taken Airbnb strategy to the next level, the upgrades, the thought process that goes into it. Unless you're full time doing Airbnb, it's hard to make it successful, and it's a very involved strategy compared to co-living. That's my personal perspective. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, guys, but uh, so if you're a full-time investor, your goal should be to get the most out of your strategy with the least amount of effort going in. Okay. And just like Dustin said, this strategy revolves around the most basic need, like food, shelter, clothing. The shelter is one of the basic needs, and this revolves around that. And today, food is expensive, so are the clothes. So, I mean, because of that, this strategy is going to dominate over the next few years, 100%. So, with that being said, I have to, if you're done with the presentation, I have to go over a few other questions. Let me know.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
I was just
I
gonna.
think
Oh no, go on. Sorry, Dustin.
no, I'm just gonna say, in terms of like, there's those resources and then a few others, but I think Tracy shared it, but we have all those resources that anyone can have for free. So I just
Yeah,
wanted to
please.
reiterate that.
Yeah, we'll drop that link in there again. And you guys, you can, we have, it'll send you to our fractional page where that's where we raise capital, but that's where we also have all of our resources. And you can ask questions in there as well. And it's a really nice place for people that have questions on co-living can kind of come together. It's like a little mini community in there around co-living.
No, and fractional, guys, I mean, do not sleep on fractional. Fractional is an awesome resource to raise money quickly. And how much money have you guys raised on fractional so far?
Oh,
Well,
we
so
haven't, no,
yeah,
you
we
go.
just fired ours up.
We
So
haven't gone live.
our debut is soon.
Oh, okay, it's just
But
going live. Okay.
yeah,
But
yeah.
just in a week of talking and bringing people together, I want to say we have like 100 people in our community. So we're really starting to build some momentum. And I just wanted to share just very briefly that, Dustin and I, our long-term goal is to help 1,000 people attain affordable housing via co-living. And then a sub goal is to help 1,000 community members get their first co-living property by partnering with us. And that's going to help meet our original larger goal. We're truly about helping support and educate people. I'm a retired educator, so I love to teach people. And together, Dustin and I, we make a really great, strong partnership. We're really have a clear understanding of the market and what we need to have in place to have a successful property. So you lean on us, guys. Reach out to us on Fractional. You've got all the information to find us there. You can find us on social media. We truly do want to support people. There are 38.1 million single person households in the US. 38.1 million single person households. Okay. That's almost 30% of everyone in the United States.
Yeah.
It's tremendous. And when you look at where the median, the middle class income has dramatically, as we know, decreased. Housing has gone up dramatically. Co-living is not just like a fad, right? It is where we have to go. And I just
Yeah.
beg people to at least have one co-living property in your portfolio because it truly does make a difference. I think it's fair to say that if we're in the sub two community, there's a part of us that has a passion for people and for the world and helping more than just ourselves. And so this is such a great way. It's just a win-win. You boost your portfolio and you support other people. So thank you. Just wanted to say that.
I mean, that cannot be more true. This is amazing, what you guys are doing. I mean, it is fulfilling your own investing needs, and it is also fulfilling in the sense that you're helping the community truly get back up on their feet, because a lot of people are not able to afford even an apartment these days, honestly.
Oh.
So going back to your strategy, like how long have you guys employed this strategy in your business?
Yeah, so I'll be hitting 2 years here pretty soon.
Oh, wow. And how many properties or bedrooms, however you count your numbers, are currently occupied with people?
Yeah, so current rooms filled are around 35.
Wow.
And then they're converting a couple others though from LTR that we already own into co-living just because we're like, what are we doing?
Yeah.
And so that's Tracy has her own stuff too. So
Yeah, I do a little different model. So I've spent a lot of half of my life, adult life, living in Hawaii and then also Lake Tahoe, California. So I went back and forth to these two beautifully amazing tourist communities. And what I watched over the last 30 years is Airbnb take over these communities. And so the people, for example, you take Lake Tahoe, okay, there's somewhere for them to go. They can drive an hour into Nevada and find affordable housing. I'm not saying that's great, but that's at least an option. You take Hawaii, for example, that there's nowhere to drive. So these people are leaving, these multi-generational, three, four generations having to leave. This fourth generation is having to leave the island, come to the mainland, and it's breaking up families, and it's really heartbreaking to see. Granted, has to be a balance. You have to have Airbnbs in a tourist community, or there's nowhere for the tourists to go, and the tourists are who drive the economy. Obviously, we need that. But what has happened is there's so many Airbnbs that are just sitting vacant that there's no housing. So in Hawaii, I have partners there, and our goal there is we've created multi-generational homes. So our last project, we took a 3-1, 2-1, and we opened it up so that there's an interior stairway, but there's also some doors. So we have three families essentially living together. We have two full families and then some additional family members like aunties and a cousin and little kids. I mean, I think there's like 11 in there altogether, the families. They're couldn't be happier. They take amazing care of our property. They take care of the outside. They do all the yard work. They the father, the like matriarch of the family. Matriarch, is that how you say it? Is a guy the matriarch or is that the boy?
patriarch.
Patriarch.
Thank you.
Patriarch.
I mean, he was in tears when we were able to bring the rest of his family into the property. That I'm like super passionate about that, but that's only in particular markets like Hawaii, but that's a passion for me that I want to continue to work with because
Well, we're going next month, so
that's right.
new
And that's where
builds.
our mastermind is. If you invest with us at a 10,000 or higher level, you're part of we have just a very small, intimate mastermind that's only with our personal investors. And we will have our first mastermind in Hawaii because
Oh, wow.
we're all connected with Hawaii. Our partner Kaipo is from Hawaii and Dustin's lived there as well. So
When is it? When is it happening?
we'll let you know when you invest with us. No, I'm just kidding, Chad.
So,
Yeah.
We haven't figured the date out yet.
Well, we're
the
gonna do it on a
10,000
vote.
is that the subscription to your mastermind, or is that the investment in your properties?
Great question. Yeah, if you invest with us we have an investment club on fractional. So each project is a club, and if you invest in one of our clubs, then you have access to our mastermind. The reason we've done it this way is we hear the word mastermind all the time, but a true mastermind is really when you bring people together that actually want to do the work together, and you're at a similar level of experience, right? Now, I might have more experience in this area and Jada here and Chai here, but together combined, we're really on a similar platform, right? And we're also wanting to do the work. We're not joined because we want someone to pull us along. And so we really want to honor that true sense of a mastermind. So if you're really wanting to learn about co-living, then we want people to come and invest with us and let's work on these projects together. You're going to learn from us. We're going to learn from you too. Let's be honest, right? We only know what we know, kind of thing. But the goal is really that we want to help usher you along through the process, learn alongside of us, and then maybe at the end of that first project together, you're like, I'm off and running and doing this myself. Or maybe you go, this is great. I like doing this together with people. I just want to keep rolling my money over. Whatever. We're there to support people.
I'm going over to that link right now. If you're not, then I don't know what you're doing. These guys are bringing
We
amazing,
also,
amazing.
yeah,
I'm just kidding,
Tracy,
but yeah, I'm definitely investing because this is, I mean, again, in all honesty, a lot of masterminds out there are taking money from you, and then you have to take the knowledge and take it outside of that mastermind somewhere else and implement it, and maybe you will fail. This is amazing because I'm giving you money that you are actually investing and empowering me with all this knowledge that I can choose to take outside, but I also have an option to build together. So this
yeah.
is great.
Thank
Sorry,
you,
Part
Jada.
of the reason why Hawaii is Tracy Keipel and I were all have lived there, but we have very strong connections with builders, wholesalers there. And we want to enter the Hawaii market. So that's why the mastermind is there. It's like essentially a field trip. Like, hey, well, what do we do? How do we? Because it's very expensive to live there. And
Field trip
so,
to Hawaii, that's convenient. But
right? Tax write-off.
That's right.
So
All day.
that's why it's there.
yeah,
Multiple birds, one stone.
Yeah, if you can make it work in Hawaii, you can make it work anywhere. So it's like, why not take one of the hardest markets, right? And
It's kind of
and
like
I want you guys to heavily consider second best market for you guys as the ski towns.
yeah. Oh,
Because ski towns
I'm
have the same problem.
yeah. No, that's where I'm from is Lake Tahoe. I was just this morning, Shy, looking at a property for that same reason. So yeah.
So Rachel Schwartz from Denver, Rachel and Angie, they're partners, and then Janelle from Seattle market. So we are putting together a mastermind at Keystone, Colorado. It's in March 13th through 16th, and that's only because we are all interested in skiing, and since I go there just absurd amount of times in a year, I just thought I need to make it more not, I mean, I need to bring more people with me so that it's not just waste of time and fun. It's also about something. But while I've been, I mean, as I go there more often and connect with people, I realize the same thing. In most of these towns, people are not able to afford housing because most of it is turning into Airbnbs.
Mhm.
So yeah, great. Maybe another thing to think about. So any other questions, Jada, from your side? If not, we can get into the chat.
we can get into the chat. I just wanted to I really appreciate not only that you guys are like, well, let's go into might as well go into the hardest market, because it's kind of like, oh, it's like if you start a business or start real estate during, the worst time, but you make it, now you know, hey, well, I started out when it was super rough. So once the going gets good, you're going to be good. But then I also really appreciate that you guys mentioned, multi-generational, because Hawaii is really big on that. I mean, they're like islander kind of culture, and I know how big that is. And even like a lot of Mexican families like mine, they really like to stay together. And so I also like that, and I appreciate that. And the more that I've grown up and the more like aged, the more that I've become closer to my family. So just having more multi-generational focus and being able to help, and not that that's your like sole focus, But I love how that's what you mentioned with Hawaii. And I'm sure that it's, there'll be some that are just people that need a place to live, which is everywhere. But I like those two that you guys are hitting on. So
I wanna before we get into other questions in the chat, I have few more things I just wanna conclude with. So the 2 years and 35 bedrooms that you're, based on the data you shared earlier, the 35 bedrooms that you have, how long have you had 35 tenants, and how much delinquency, for example, that one guy you mentioned earlier that is trying to keep it below 300 and stay under the radar, how much of that have you experienced in your 2-year time?
Yeah. So it's kind of cool because essentially my broker, ironically, he lives in Hawaii, so we're gonna have to see him when we're out there. But he has these other pad splits that he's he's at the age where he just doesn't want to do anything. So I'm kind of wedging myself in as of recent to gain access to these others, where I'm gonna essentially be the asset manager for a small percentage, well, decent percentage. So before that though, or no, sorry, let me take a step back. Between all of them, we've only had one hard tenant that we've had to kick out.
Wow.
And it's really comes back down to the enhanced filter through pad split, and then also the property manager that meets them at the property, looks them in the eye. Like, she's amazing. She has her own pad splits. Like, she understands the game. And so yeah, we've only had to kick out one guy.
Okay. And did you have to go through normal? I know the answer, but I'm just gonna ask anyways because maybe people have the same question. When you kick out someone, is it more like a hotel or is it more like an eviction process for any other tenant?
So we've never had to go the extreme route. We basically just said, all right, dude, what are you doing? He's like, I'm sorry, I can't pay. He's like, he can't stay. And that was that.
Yeah.
I've heard of some people like doing a cash for keys in a sense, so they don't have to go. And be like, hey, we'll give you $500 to go into a hotel a week or two, let you figure it out, or we could this can get really ugly. You pick.
Yeah.
I've heard of that, but we
And
haven't had to do it.
correct me if I'm wrong, but this is my reading of the pad split or co-living tenants. More than likely, you're gonna get one person, one per bedroom. Very rarely are you gonna get, or approve for that matter, two people in one bedroom. Am I right? Or you never do that?
Well, I want to mention something too. You use the word tenant, where pad split, they as part of their strategy is they are members of the LLC. The LLC has a master lease with you. So this is where it starts getting unique with zoning,
Correct.
kicking people out. But yeah, it's one person per room. And then it hasn't been problematic though.
So what the biggest difference? So we have in our portfolio and my 10 years of experience in managing rentals and other things. So we do rentals. We have Section 8 tenants. We have regular tenants. We have undocumented tenants. Uh, we have owner finance properties. So we have something called as tenant buyer. In a lot of markets, they call that. We call them just wrap buyers. So we have different types of strategy. We have Airbnbs, have co-livings now. But in this whole thing, what I get to see is the behavior of a tenant. So when I have a Section 8 tenant, the Section 8 tenants tend to have a lot of kids, and that's how they get this bigger voucher, and that's why the tenant is valuable to an investor. But when you try to kick out a family out of a house, it is 10 times, if not 100 times harder than kicking out one person. Because now you're dealing with real life problems and them having to actually, the alternative to them is sometimes getting back out on the street because they may have lost their voucher. And the problems are really, really, really bad, honestly. So In case of pad split, not only is it yielding you more profits every month, it's also making it easier because kicking out one person is a lot easier, and because they don't have a lot going on in their life that is getting compromised suddenly. Especially not having kids in the picture is a big part of that strategy. So, and correct, I mean, I don't know if you agree with me on that or not, but that's another reason why co-living is a lot easier and less of an I mean, I had to file 3 evictions since start of this year.
Yeah.
And every time there are kids involved in that. So I personally don't want to see that happening in my portfolio. Not only is it harder to kick them out, I just feel bad, and I mean those losses are inevitable sometimes. But with pad split, that is another thing to think about. It's managing those tenants, even though you are managing more people, a lot of that management goes back to pad split, and you only step in on when things really go wrong. You're not involved on a day-to-day basis with collections and stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, great information, amazing. I mean, I'm looking forward to joining your community personally, and would love to attend that mastermind. Let's get into these chat questions real quick.
So we have a ton of questions. One that I'm just going to ask, since he already mentioned the partnership try right now. We have a couple people that said, hey, if we bring a property to you, will that count for investing with you in these properties?
Oh, great question.
I think a case by case, but I mean,
If we bought
go
it
ahead.
together.
No.
No, that's a great question. So just to make sure I think I understand what they're saying is if they found a property and they said, hey, Dustin, Tracy, we think this is a good property for co-living. I think then it would be, correct me if I'm wrong, Dustin, if it is something that the investment club said, yes, we want to invest in this, then you would be part of that. Somehow we could wedge you in, so to speak. But the way that typically it would work is we're using our skills, which is finding the property. We're all about acquiring the right property because we know what those metrics look like. And then by being part of our investment club together as an investment team, for lack of a better word, we're going to go through that property together and decide as a group if that's something we want to move forward on together.
Yeah, I think in short, we're open to like the more bird dog finder's fee. And then
Yeah.
also, like Tracy mentioned, a potential wedge where it'd be, hey, you found the deal that's the equivalent of 1 unit of the ownership of what that equity split looks like.
Cool. So if people brought these or had these deals, how would they bring it to you?
So that's funny. Tracy and I have been talking about that all morning.
Yeah.
We have two major buy boxes. The first one is capital currently because we do have access to deal flow. Like our inbox right now is kind of flooded with deal flow. But ultimately, if there is a deal though, it would be fractional at the moment. I know Pace is going to launch Discord soon, but currently it is communicating to us through fractional. There's the general community, but there's also you can send Tracy a message.
Oh,
me.
thanks. You know,
Or-
you could definitely send Dustin the message.
or Kaipo.
Oh yeah, send Kaipo. He's our partner that's not on here. We'll just throw him under the bus. No, Kaipo is actually who
He's
manages
looking at one now, actually, for us, one property.
he manages our fractional. So connect with us there on fractional and message us through there. One of us will get back to you on it. But I think, like Dustin said, it's probably would be more of a bird dog type of situation, really, than anything. I see somebody did say it's already in place as a midterm or short term. And we can help you walk through what that looks like. We do lots of consulting where we help people that have a shorter or midterm already, and they want to try to figure out how, what is its highest and best use. That's really what it boils down to. And it may not be co-living, it may be keeping it as a short-term or midterm rental. We're happy to help you determine that. But if we determine that highest and best is co-living, then we can kind of get you on that right path.
Love it. A couple other questions that I thought were pretty interesting as well was one, what is the approximate rehab to convert into, let's say, an 8 bedroom? It's like the one that you had showed earlier.
Yeah. So if it's just a gentle cosmetic, like roof is new, HVAC is new, we're not doing anything crazy. We're just assuming right off the bat, like in Florida, 30. Now that could definitely go higher, but like that's kind of the base, and that's not furnishing. Furnishing's probably going to be 10 grand, maybe a little less, but it depends what quality you want, stuff like that. Like for example, when we do projects in Florida, anything that we don't need a permit for, we have an amazing handyman, $25 an hour. So we really try to be effective. But yeah, 30 is like our starting point.
And somebody asked, are there any rules or laws or regulations or documents to be signed to make a single family into a co-living house, or is it just getting permits for new rooms or adding
Yep.
rooms?
So this is part of why Tracy and I are looking in, or we're buying a new build with pace soon. We're just hunting down the land in the region we like. It's a 12-12. He's our capital partner on it. The reason I mention that is when we buy it like that, it is multifamily zoning right off the bat. Like working with the city, where a lot of if we buy sub two or a cash deal, it's not. And there isn't like was just mentioned, permission per se.
It's a little bit of a dance. So as far as the rehab is concerned, it's just like any other rehab. If you're doing electrical, plumbing, you're, making any changes to the actual structural implementation, you need permits for that, right? So the garage needing windows, permit, right? But if you can find a property, like the golden egg is when you can find a property where you don't need to do anything that needs permits in order to meet your numbers, that's gold, right? But often you need to turn a half bath into a full bath. You're going to need a permit. Maybe you need to turn the garage and it doesn't have the windows. Now, some garages will have windows on either side. You can split down the middle and you don't need it. So, but we want everything structurally to be on the up and up, always legal and on the up and up. But there is a lot that you can do without needing any permitting. When it comes to your tenants or your members, we call them members living inside the home. We're now talking about something completely different. Every city and county has different rules and regulations on how many non-related individuals can live in a home, right? So that means we do not have any relation. We're friends. We're not friends. We're just met from the co-living link that we found. We're in the house. Most cities and counties are 5 to 6 people max. As you will see, our properties have 7, 8, 10. Most of us, in order to make it work, we have to get above that number, right? I have no problem with that because I know that I am doing something that is right and needed for our country. I know that I have an obligation to provide affordable housing to people. At the same time, this is how I make a living. So I also have to make the numbers work so that I can keep doing this, right? So I'm okay with that. And you have to, in my opinion, know the rules and know that you're okay with that. Longevity wise, scaling wise, once we create a model where we can do new builds, we make a multifamily out of it, and we're having relationships with the city and county, and they know what we're doing. Now that changes things on a national scale. Once we can get more of this happening regularly, especially when we get people like Pace back behind this, our goal is to really change the model, right? We shouldn't be having to like feel like we're sneaking around to provide affordable housing, in my opinion. So,
I wanted to mention something from the previous question though.
Mhm.
When someone said, "What if we bring a deal?" I know something similar though that we're open to. If someone brings a capital partner, gator wrestling, that
Mm,
is definitely something that is much more open or easier to figure that out. I wanted to mention that before I forgot.
I like it. I think it's a great idea. Bring a deal, but also try to bring some capital to it.
Mm-hmm.
Wedge yourself in a little more.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that you answered this in the chat way earlier, Tracy, but I think it's good in case people watch the replay. So somebody was asking like soundproofing. Do you soundproof any of the additional rooms that you're making?
Good question. Not you want to go for it.
So not like a full-blown soundproofing, but we are paying for quality materials. Like we are insulating actually in between. So
You're
not just
putting
drywall.
insulation in the walls, internal walls.
Yeah. We are paying for it is extra, but that's just pick a
No, I'm
higher
sorry.
turnover.
You said yes to putting insulation?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah.
There's
Just
that.
standard R13 insulation, regular insulation, right?
Yeah.
Because there's that balance of longevity for your members, right? The more comfortable they are, the longer they're going to stay, which is our goal, right? So yes, you can have the rooms be 100 square foot and it could potentially work. But if they could have a little bit more room and if it feels more comfortable and it's a cozy environment, they're going to want to stay longer. And that's so the soundproofing is part of that too, right? And everybody can do it a little bit differently. I think when you're looking at properties, I also like to think about the flow of people in the home, right? So it's one thing to go, here's a 3 bedroom, here's what it looks like. But now you're going to turn it into a 7 bedroom, and you really have to be mindful of what does this home look like when there's 7 people and there's, the 2 bathrooms and how are people moving through the home? And is somebody going to be leaning up against this guy's bedroom waiting to get into the bathroom? So just being really mindful and putting yourself in the shoes of the members living in the home.
Nice.
Yeah, great. And another question that somebody asked here was, and I don't think that there would be much of a difference, but they said, is it typically better to have a single family to convert, or is it the same as a 2-story?
I think it depends on the buyer or person really. Like we're indifferent. I think it just comes down to the size of the rooms is more like the concern, and just there's much bigger variables or parts of the filtering system that by the time we find a candidate, we don't really let single or 2-story knock it out. Just because it's like we see so many deals every day that the bus stop or HOA or population density, that by the time we get to that point, we're a lot more lenient.
Yeah. I do want to share our property with everyone and also get you guys' opinion on few things. But let's finish the questions. Jada, are we done with the questions?
Yeah, that was pretty much all.
Okay. So I'm gonna share the property that we are currently in the process of converting. We just went live on 2 units. It's a 25-unit apartment complex that we are converting to co-living slowly. Oh my gosh, where is my... Oh. I just want to give you all general. So this is the map of Houston, and this is the downtown area. This is inner loop called 610, and this is the outer loop. So on the west side, like this is Sugarland, there is Katy on this side, there is Cypress here, Woodlands here. So west side of Houston has all these affluent suburbs for the most part. So more expensive houses on this side, and overall like east side is something that is coming up. It's more of a, I mean, not that great area, but it's changing rapidly. So this property is one of those where we purchased it like completely dilapidated, like that. It looked like this, basically what it looks in this picture. And I'll show you so every unit, I mean, we had to strip everything down to the studs, repaint the brick, do new roofs, everything here. So the project went over budget, and we are not at where we were supposed to be in terms of numbers. So we had to get creative. But one of the biggest things so this is the Astrodome area and this is NRG Stadium. So it is closer to these big arenas where, I mean, this is our football stadium for Texans, and there is a lot of activity. And so this is where the rodeo is held. So it's very close to all these cool areas. So it has a lot of value in that regard. And also this area is gentrifying. So
Nice.
if
I
I
just
zoom
looked up
in, yeah.
I just looked up the revenue data, and I mean it's a solid area.
Yeah,
Like
it really is.
87% occupancy,
Yeah.
55 active units,
Yeah.
170 per week, shared bath,
So are
255
you
private bath.
talking about the data for this zip code?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, awesome. Yeah.
Yeah. And guys, that's what we were telling you on PadSplit. I'll put the link in again. If you have any interest in co-living, you have to. You have to get a PadSplit host account. It costs you nothing except like a phone call or two with the PadSplit rep. In
Yeah.
2 seconds, Dustin and I pulled up that zip code. We can see how many active units, how many are up and coming, the weekly rate, the average occupancy, days to booking. I mean, it's a no-brainer.
Yeah. So now this building looks something like this. So these are the interior pictures of the unit. The buildings are looking, I mean, all brand new, everything inside out. So I just want to share what we have done and how we have done it. So it took me about $1,000 per bedroom in furniture cost. And I mean, I'm trying to get it. I mean, I'm not trying to go all out, and you may say, no, that's too low. Maybe you have to get a better quality stuff. But that's what I want to hear from you guys. Um,
I mean it sounds about right. 1,000, 1,200, about the average.
yeah.
I know
Okay,
in the
it is.
past we've
Okay.
experienced, out of anything being problematic, we've had bed frames buckle for whatever reason.
Oh my gosh, I've had so many bed frame issues. Like
Yeah.
I kid you
Okay.
not. I quit doing midterm rentals because I was like, I can't deal with people telling me the bed's broke. I'm like, it's a brand new bed. I don't
Yeah.
want to know what you did to break it. Just go buy me a new bed.
So that's why we get these metal frames,
Yeah.
Well,
these simple study desks, the number locks, the toiletries, which are not needed, but you can just throw in a few
have
things
you
that
used those have you used those metal frames before?
we have not. This is my first time doing power split.
Well, so I asked because we only buy if it's like 350 and above now. Because we bought, I don't know if it's that exact model or anything, but that's what it reminds me of.
Yep.
And we've had to replace so many
So
frames
many.
Oh, wow,
that it's
really?
like,
Agreed.
unless the weight is very noticeable, like double the normal person or so, whatever, but like
Oh,
350 and up, or you're
350
probably replacing
pounds?
it. Uh-huh.
Are you saying 350 pounds?
Yeah, in the description too, like, because I think that said something really high, like 11, but I would like you notice it like in the make.
Are you talking about this?
Let me pull it up let me look in my
Yeah.
Amazon history out because we've just bought
I agree.
so many, so
You're
many.
better off to spend a little bit more on a high quality bed frame. You'll be shocked. Don't do it, and and I'm not saying you are, Chai, but don't get a twin either. Get a
Okay.
queen, a full at a bare minimum, but again, just think of it.
No, no, I got queen for all
Yeah,
bed.
no, I saw you did.
No.
Yeah. I'm just saying, like, generally speaking, I always think, what if this is me or my mom, right? Like, if this was my mom
Yeah.
and she's having, or my sister, and she's having to move into a co-living situation because of something going on in her life. What do I want her room to feel like, look like? How do I want her to go to bed at night and feel? And you know,
So I'm
Right.
going to show
So
you
sorry,
how,
I,
yeah.
I misspoke. 3,500 is what I meant to say.
Oh,
I
35.
just,
Wow. Okay.
yeah, like I got the link. I'll send it if you want.
yeah, that'd be great. Would you share that?
Yeah, please. So this is, I mean, guys, go back to this video and go from the start and watch it couple more times. This is going to give you the gist of what the mastermind will look like in Hawaii. I
Yeah.
mean, Dustin is telling you such fine details of, I mean, the bed frame. Forget about just the strategy alone. This is awesome, guys. Thank you so much.
I mean, it
I'm
all
gonna
saves so much time. That's what this is. Again, it's all about like staying in your lane, or if you're getting into a new lane, bringing the people alongside you,
yeah,
right? Because you could spend 2 hours researching bed frames, pick one, get 10 of them, right?
yeah.
And now you're putting them together, and 2 weeks in, they start falling apart. And now you're 2 more hours dealing with that. And it's like, yeah. Anyway,
So
So
this is how it looks like now, our bedroom. This side table probably needs to be rearranged. This is a two bedroom unit, and we can convert the living room into a third bedroom. I'll show you those. So this is
are
the
you
kitchen, and this is the
are you
living.
officially are you
Yeah.
officially posting it on Pat Split's site, or are you gonna do it all self?
No, no, this is going on Pad Split.
Okay.
Already live on Pad Split. So some of the things are missing in the pictures, but they are already there. The mirrors were delivered later, so you don't see mirrors here, but they are in the bedroom already. We need to redo the pictures. Uh, and then our construction guy missed mirrors here.
Can I
In the
share a
back.
couple things that come to mind?
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
Um, it makes a big difference. But if you just get some basic linens
Okay.
and then one piece of wall art,
Yes.
and then you pay for professional photos, it will dramatically
Yeah.
increase the speed, but the elevated rate, like
Yeah.
all of it.
So yeah, all that is going. I mean, you hit the spot with that. I mean, that's all the things I've told our manager,
Okay.
and this is just to get things started early,
Mm-hmm.
and
Yeah,
then
yeah,
we will replace it with actual like professional photos and anything. So
yeah.
because again, this is like I told you, this project is way over budget, and there is a lot of issues going on around that. So for us, I mean, we started filling it up with Section 8 tenants, and I've been trying to convince the partnership uh, about this strategy for last 6 months. So finally, they don't see it filled. They're like, okay, try whatever the hell you want, just get it, get it cash flowing. I was like, okay, I'm so that's how it came down to pad split. But if it starts to fill up, I'm gonna buy this out from my partnership, the entire. So it's 25 units, and I mean 24 units. We can put 3 people per unit. So it'll be what 70 plus 10 tenants there.
So are you in a DSCR, or what are you
So we have
like?
a bank loan on this, commercial bank.
So this is definitely very premature, no vetting at all, but are you raising capital for it? Are you open to partnerships
No,
on
so
it?
this is in a partnership. It's all our like some of the friends we own this together.
No.
Yeah, but as I buy them out, yes, we can talk about this at our Hawaii
Yeah.
mastermind.
In Hawaii. Yep.
Why?
On the beach.
On the beach in
On
Hawaii.
the beach.
Everything's better on the beach in Hawaii.
Yes.
And we had a quick question. So I know some people were asking, like, I thought the members that come in and live there bring their own sheets. So what do you guys provide at like amenities and necessities?
Yeah. So on for anyone in sub two, if you go into the semesters, week two, we brought in a pad split rep, one that we know we like. She's really good.
Oriana?
Because we brought in Audrey. She's based out
Oh,
of Miami.
sorry.
And so Officially, no, you don't need, but it's like if you take a couple extra $100 and then they come in, there's linens, they got a mini fridge.
Yeah.
It's more home, like it's not a boarding house.
Yeah.
And it increases your average tenants, like the average stay.
Yeah.
So you're
Nice.
reducing turnover. You're not getting hit with that 10-day. So typically when we have a new unit, it's going to be filled with cleaning supplies, dishes, color coded if you want to get wild per room. But yeah, the mini fridge just is the more you can make it home like,
Yeah.
it is higher upfront costs, but if you can, instead of 6 months, it's a year that they're staying in there, you're not getting hit with that 10-day each time someone moves in.
Yeah.
So we really try to make it home like.
And it's so inexpensive. I mean, you can get the bed in a bag, Target, Walmart, all the places have it, Amazon. It's super inexpensive. And you can, you say, if you don't need this, just let us know. The property manager will pick it up, right? Or
Yeah.
the property manager can grab it when they show up. That's the other thing, guys. A property manager, I'm just going to keep saying this, don't skimp. When you're looking at a potential opportunity, I know it's really easy, especially when we're super excited for our first one. It's really easy because you're just plugging numbers in on a spreadsheet. It's easy to change. Well, if I could get another bedroom here, maybe if I don't do the property manager, and you can play around with those to make the numbers work on paper. But the reality is you need a property manager if you want to scale in this business. And I just do it right from the get-go. Don't waste your time. A property manager is going to help you manage these properties so that they're efficient and you're keeping tenancies in place for a longer period of time.
Yeah, I think a lot of people really underestimate what vacancy does to you. I haven't done co-living, but I was doing a lot of Airbnb, and man, that hits you hard. So it's really nice to put that little extra effort. I'm really big as well, and I learned this from a family friend when I was first starting out. She has an Airbnb out here in like the beach town in California, and she says she would just place little chocolates, or she has like little like super simple gift baskets, and because of that, she's always had 5 stars, so she's always booked up. And
Nice.
I've noticed that with some of my tenants where they had an 3 months with an option to extend, I would just be more polite to them. I would send them little gifts every once in a while, and they're like, "Oh my God, this is great. Our house could be ready, but like we'll just wait a little bit." And yeah, and then do you guys also include like appliances like washer dryers, fridge?
Yeah.
Yeah, the ratio for fridge 4 to 1.
Okay.
Yeah.
4 to 1 fridge.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
a
And
lot
then
of
you'll
the
need to.
folks. Oh, sorry, Dustin.
I'm just saying you'll want to have. That's what Pat Sweat wants too. Is you'll have to bring in a second one.
Okay.
Yeah. Because think of this, that a lot of the folks that are renting our rooms, they're your hourly workers. A lot of them are working 2 jobs. They're not typically cooking, but they are more heating food up, or they're picking food up or having it, door dashed. Maybe they're reheating it at a later time. So microwaves, absolutely, refrigerators, trash cans, because a lot of it is they're not cooking at home, they're bringing it in, so they're going to have to go trash and that kind of thing. So it's just a different lifestyle that folks are living that are typically using our homes. So just kind of keeping that in mind.
So this property that I just presented, is that something, again, it's the bus stop is on the property, like not even like zero miles. There is 2 bus stops, one across the street and one on this side, if you want. And it's closer to the downtown area. Is this something you guys would consider buying in your portfolio? Because
I mean,
I mean, there is a very good chance my partners are willing to exit from this if there is a buyer. And this is going to take a creative buyer, almost guaranteed. Because right now, with the way the market is and the cost in Houston area is, I mean, rapidly growing with property taxes and insurance. the numbers are not making sense for a lot of people, apartment owners. But this is a perfect property for pad split. So I'm converting it and I'm looking to purchase it. But if you guys are, I mean, you guys are someone who specialize in this strategy and
Mhm.
are raising money for this, and we can be the on ground. I mean, I own property. I have over 100 properties in my portfolio, and we self manage it. I have a full team, so all that can be done if there is someone who can.
Chai, what's the square footage of each of the units? Are they all the same?
821, everyone. Yeah.
821. And they're a 2-1, but you converted it to a 3-1, is that right?
Yeah. Mhm.
And does that still include that living room space that you talked about?
Yes, including the living will be the third bedroom. They
Oh, okay, gotcha.
already have windows. All I need is to put two walls and it's done.
Yeah, and it's done.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's
How
talk about
much parking?
that. Yeah, parking.
Plenty of parking in the back.
Oh, let's definitely talk then.
Yeah.
Parking's a big thing, guys, too. I'm glad you bring that up. I just want to say that really quick. Parking. That is probably one of the number one things
Yeah.
that is sort of that glitch, right? So everything
Yeah.
else is like perfect, and then there's the parking. So just keep that in mind if you're thinking about co-living.
Yeah.
Let's say you're going to have a 7 bedroom, you're going to convert to 7 bedrooms. It's going to be rare that you can fit 7 cars, right? And so parking is a thing that can really create an issue.
Hmm.
If you don't want to draw attention to your neighbors going, what the heck's going on next door? There's 8 cars all of a sudden, right? Some are parked on the road, they're double stacked in the driveway. Those are the things that are red flags to your neighbors. And that's where then the whole how many people are living there can come into
Yeah.
play. So parking is often the trigger to
But
that.
this is an independent apartment complex,
Yeah,
so there is
not
no
you. I'm
HOA.
not talking about you.
Yeah,
No, no.
that's
So
perfect.
I have a question. It
Yeah.
is independent. However, like you can see how much parking it has. So this is 8 units. This is 12, and this is 4. Uh, so considering 3 people moving in here, I mean, we are talking about 24 parking lots, and I don't think we have 24 here. But we'll have to get
Okay.
creative in the way that
You
uh,
don't have to though, Chai. So you don't have to offer parking to every tenant. And so when you're
okay.
yeah, when you're putting it up on Pad Split, you can say there's 3 rooms available, 2 come with parking, 1 does not.
Hmm.
And
And
then that
we can add more parking lots along this. I mean, we can do whatever we want with this parking lot and rearrange it to fit more cars. But yeah, to your point, yes, if that is the case, then yeah.
Quick question as well, mostly because it's my own question from having lived with roommates, and somebody asked in the chat. So what do you, or no, I guess what do they clean? So is it in their lease or anything that's like, hey, when you're done with a dish, you have to wash it immediately?
Yeah, that's a perfect question. The part of it too is yes, and then we'll actually, whether it's fake or not, we're gonna let them know like there's a camera in the common area. So if you're not doing your dishes, someone's gonna know. But yeah, there are certain expectations, and then there's house rules posted throughout,
Yeah,
and
that's
they're made known before they move in, like saying, "Do you understand this, and do you
yeah,
agree to it?"
yeah. I think if you're like everything, if you're upfront ahead of time with the expectations before they move in, right? Again, right back to the property manager. Find yourself a good property manager that is communicating clearly to your potential members the expectations and say, look, we don't mess around, right? We want to provide clean, affordable housing to people. And this, we all have to work well together for this to work. Here's the expectations. Are you comfortable with these? And FYI, we don't mess around. Like, if you're not, you're going to be out. So, if this is something that isn't going to work for you, then this probably isn't the right setting for you.
Yeah.
And one other thing to mention too, the people on Pad Split are pretty motivated because if they cause a problem in a house, they risk getting kicked out of all of Pad Split network.
Okay.
So it's like they really don't
Yeah.
want to burn that bridge.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's interesting. That's almost like Section 8. It's like, oh, you get kicked
Yeah.
out.
But honestly, Section 8 is not, Section 8 is very lenient with, they'll get kicked out of your house, but not from the program. I used to think the same, but recently, so in this very apartment complex, not only do we work with Section 8, we work with a bunch of other programs called, there is one called Domestic Violence Shelter. And so obviously with Domestic Violence Shelter, you get mostly women tenants and not mostly, most almost always, but also with a lot of kids. And this tenant moved in on a 1-year lease, and then she said, oh, I got pregnant and now I need bigger space. So she moved out within like 3 months. In between her lease, the domestic violence lady, I mean the shelter lady, calls me and tells me, hey, return her deposit. I'm like, why? She broke the lease. She's like, okay, so you don't want more tenants from us? I'm like, are you serious? Okay, I can hang up this call, or we can have a conversation where you bring me 2 more tenants right away, and in return, I'll give that deposit back. Or else we can hang up this call and you will not have one property from us, because we are a decent sized landlord. So, but that's how they can bully you too. It's very weird. And and after, I don't know what is going on there, but that deposit goes back to the tenant. So the DV shelter has no role to play in that, really, unless they are getting some kickbacks that they are not talking about. So be careful with those things. It's they do some funky stuff out there. But
But
anyway,
that's another point to pad split now. That makes pad
yeah.
split. They manage everything. Yeah, that the tenants, they have all, wow, that's so interesting.
Yeah, no, this has been an amazing Zoom, wealth of information. I mean, thank you so much, guys. If there are any questions, how do anybody reach out to these guys? Do we have their details in the chat? What do you guys prefer? Instagram, email, phone numbers, whatever.
Fractional.
Yeah. The best one is going to be fractional, because we do get a lot of questions from the sub two community, the semesters community, but a lot of them we're noticing are repetitive. So it's like, I know people are shy, but if you just post it on the community, you're actually helping a lot of others,
Yeah.
because then
Yeah.
it'll be answered and everyone. But we're on Instagram in fractional.
Yeah, you can find us. Thank you, Jada. You can find us both on Instagram. I think, we get our inboxes get pretty darn full all the time. And so like Dustin was saying, it's really nice. Fractionals is really a nice model for us to use, because you can ask questions, you can get answers in between the times that I only get to get on once a day to check my DMs. I think Dustin's probably the same. So in between the time that I've gotten on and checked mine and his, you've got people, that are there looking at the questions, and, someone might answer your question for you on our behalf, so to speak.
So funny story, like since I became an entrepreneur, got started like in real estate, the market has been just crazy. Like 2012, we were just getting out of 2008 recession, and then 2012 there was an oil and gas recession. I was working for oil and gas.
Wow.
Then 2015 something happened. So I got into real estate, started buying rentals. I got into wholesaling, had an amazing success. But then Facebook groups came along and everything just changed. So I had to pivot every year, literally. And I mean, I think of myself as very fortunate to have done that, because now I'm ready for anything. So with that analogy, I want to tell you that this is the best pivot if you are considering changing your strategy or jumping into real estate. Co-living is going to almost always give you a guaranteed success. Okay. This is required. This is fulfilling in terms of everything. Like I said earlier, it is fulfilling in terms of returns you're getting from your strategy, and you're doing something for the community and helping people truly using your strategy. So connect with these guys, anything you need. I mean, this has been great. Thank you so much for coming on our podcast. I'm starting to call it a podcast now.
Last question. Thank you guys. What's the minimum amount that people can invest with you guys on fractional?
Yeah, so we're talking about it. We'll have the official answer
Yeah.
soon. Essentially, it's either going to be 5 or 10, 5 or 10,000.
10 will be the limit. I feel pretty confident to say that 10 will be the limit to be part of the mastermind. But we do want to make this where everybody can be part of something, right? And so if we start at a $5,000 minimum investment, you don't necessarily get the mastermind, but it doesn't mean you get nothing. It's not like sit in the corner quietly. Like you'll still get a lot of value. You'll get to be on a lot of the calls and and all that. But
Yeah, because one other caveat to mention is on these next several, an equity partner joining us is a pad split rep. Just
yes,
so the people that are a part of it, they get access to her, and she's going to host Zooms that are going into like very high level detail
yeah.
on any questions.
I have one or maybe two last questions from my side. One is Pace involved in your mastermind as well?
He doesn't
If
know
he's
it yet.
lucky, I mean, we'll see. It depends on his,
No,
and you know,
but are you guys partners with Pace on this strategy?
So we're partners on this 12/12 coming up.
yeah.
Okay.
So it's a matter of if we have to talk with him about any other stuff, but he already
Okay.
basically wrote the blank check saying, all right, so now we're just hunting that perfect piece of land.
Nice.
Yeah.
And then the
Yeah.
second question is the mentor you mentioned earlier that who got you started with this strategy. I mean, not only that mentor, but do you know of someone who has, I mean, hundreds, if not uh, many rooms on this strategy that are working really successfully since you research more in this area?
Yeah. So I know this might not be the exact answer you're looking for, but I know property managers that manage over 500 units,
Wow.
like with 4 pad split, like that. When you call pad split, say, hey, I need a property manager in Tampa, they send you to this guy. He's at like
Yeah.
600 something.
But those are, I mean, who is the largest landlord you know of on pad split
Oh,
or co-living?
I don't know.
I don't know them by name, but there's some big ones. I mean, there's some really big ones because some are a little wild and they'll play games with the market rents.
Wow.
So there are factors to consider as well. But there's some, like in Florida, there's one guy in Tampa, he has like 150 units.
Wow.
I know Atlanta, because Atlanta's the biggest one. There's some behemoths out there
Wow.
so
Yeah.
yeah, there's a lot with,
Caitlin's from Atlanta.
yeah.
Good. That's good to know.
Hmm.
Dang. Well, thank you guys so much. And again, I'm gonna put in the chat your guys's
Yeah.
fractional.
Yeah, guys, we'll have a couple Zooms in the next few weeks talking about how you can the different ways you could partner with us. Once a co-living semesters ends, which is this coming Tuesday on the 11th of March, that'll be our last co-living semester. When that one ends, we're just going to pick up the same day, same time and do office hours, co-living office hours. And that's a great opportunity where you can bring us an actual deal and we can talk through it with you. Or if you have live questions, we can help you that way.
Yeah. But we do need to at some point soon talk about this apartment that we're looking at of yours.
Oh, yeah.
Love it. Thank you so much again. Let
Thanks,
us know.
everybody.
We would love to have you back as you grow and see your journey and learn from that.
We would
Yeah,
love
we could
that.
share some projects, the
Yes.
underwriting breakdown of it.
Oh, that'd be fantastic. There you go.
Yeah, that's really our jam. That's where we I think excel really well is identifying successful opportunities. So
Yeah. And we always get people that are like, can we see your actual numbers, your actual numbers? So that would be amazing. Thank you guys so much. Woo!
Thanks for letting me. I was just
Yeah.
gonna come and just sit here and smile and do other work on the side.
We'll do another podcast with just you and your role, and we'll talk about how you guys split your partnership, that
Sure.
kind of stuff
For
later.
sure. Yeah, we're open. Love it.
That's awesome. Thank you, Tracy.
Thanks,
Thank you.
guys.
Thank you. Take care. And we won't be underwriting today any live deals, but if you guys are up for it, I can probably do one Zoom during the week. If Jada, see if we can get in any takers. I'm happy to maybe do it on Tuesday, right after your social media Zoom.
Yeah. All right.
So I do have a one quick announcement. Well, as a not really an announcement yet, but something I just want to gauge an interest from people. So we have Caitlin join us today. She's from Atlanta. I'm gonna bring her up real quick. And thank you guys.
You are free to go.
Yeah. So hey Caitlin, how are you? Thank you for staying through the whole thing. I appreciate it. While you're here, I just wanna let everyone know that what you do and what we are trying to do together. So Caitlin, and there is a couple other people that I know of. One of them is Rez Mihai out of Seattle. Did you meet Rez at the meetup? Okay. So Rez, Caitlin, and there is few other guys that are looking to buy businesses. Some have already purchased businesses, and I am trying to learn because right now I don't have the bandwidth to buy one, but I do want to learn from these pros who are out there looking for businesses. So Caitlin owns a nail products line, her own brand called SNS. Am I right, Caitlin, in saying that? Okay, go ahead. You can unmute yourself.
There we are.
Oh, there you go.
There we are. Hi. Yeah, so I own a beauty supply and distribution business in South Africa, and we export American products to South Africa.
Okay, the other way around. Sorry.
Yeah, that's okay. And I am currently looking for the business that I'm looking for right now, that I'm like on the hunt for, is a local nail salon.
Awesome.
And to build that up and to get a group of them and rebrand them. So that's the kind of vision with that. But yeah, for years now, I've been studying this and getting into business buying.
So Caitlin, besides having a cool accent, she also has businesses and looking to buy and build a large nail salon brand herself. We have Rez from Seattle, who currently owns the washaterias, laundromats in Florida. That is going wrong in his opinion for many reasons. So he's going to come and share that. And then we have Ben Caxiola, who recently purchased a modular home business for pennies on the dollar and with $10 million equity. So we are going to bring you guys a panel of these amazing people that I met at this recent event I was at in Atlanta, run by Abraham and Alexis, called PML Mastermind, which we hosted with them in the past, but we no longer are part of it because we parted our ways with this. However, we want to bring more value in terms of underwriting to you guys, because I know in these communities that we are part of, not only do we buy houses and rent them, we also have flippers, we have co-living experts, we have Airbnb experts, we have business buying experts. And call me selfish, but I'm bringing people that I personally want to learn from. I hope that gives you value in return as well. And I'm happy to bring anybody you want to learn from. But today, I think I wanted to introduce you to Caitlin. And thank you so much, Caitlin, for staying through this. We are going to schedule with you and Rez and other people and deep dive into this over the next few weeks. Thank you again. And with that being said, you know how to follow us, where to follow us. If you are not part of our community on Facebook, please join it. Jada might have shared the link already. And if you want recordings of these calls that we do every week, all these podcasts are live on YouTube, and they are you can go back to them on YouTube, but the underwriting sessions are also recorded. You may not find them on YouTube, but we have a vault that we share with you. If you join our Facebook group and at least invite 5 people, that will help support our community. And thank you again for attending today. We'll see you guys next Saturday, if not Tuesday, if Jada plans that.
Great. Thank you guys. We so appreciate
Thank
you.
you so much. Thanks, Caitlin. Thanks for coming on. We'll see you soon.
Have a
Take
great
care.
Saturday, everybody.